This is Adam Gorney continuing our rival signing day coverage here with Purdue coach Ryan Walters. And Ryan, high school recruiting is something hard to handle. Now you throw in the portal. After year one, first full recruiting class, how have you kind of managed it, and what learning lessons have you kind of found so far?
Yeah, if you think about it, back to about this time a week ago, I got hired, and so to think about where we are now from just an identification standpoint, and a recruiting standpoint, from the high school guys to the portal guys as well. It's night and day. We didn't have a whole lot of time to identify when I first got the job. Didn't know what the roster was and what we needed to replenish, and what position groups that we needed to restock. So just we're in a much better place because we've been able to evaluate and strategically go after positions of need, the type of guys that we need. So feel really good about where we are from a recruiting standpoint.
Do you feel like that coming in that you need to go heavy portal? Do you feel like you build a culture through high school recruiting? Because there are different philosophies. Just kind of wondering how you kind of look at that.
Yeah, just based off of need. There was a gap between the senior and sophomore class when I took the job. Like those juniors and sophomores were almost non-existent, and so I knew the first two cycles would have to be pretty heavy portal, just because it's hard to rely on freshmen to go out there and be able to compete at a high level in this conference. But still want this place to be a developmental program, which is why we took so many high school guys a year ago, and which is why we signed 23 of them today, because I still want to develop guys, create some chemistry, create some culture, and so hopefully moving forward, we're not having to wholesale position groups with transfer portals, student athletes, but we can just plug and place certain positions and certain areas of need, and not have the type of numbers that we're having these first two cycles.
When you talk to every coach, they all have their opinions about this. Do you like how the portal works? Are guardrails needed to fix some things? Does the timeline need to change? How are you kind of looking at that?
It's, to be honest with you, man, it's not my job to make rules or come up with solutions or changes. My job is to adapt and to use whatever is available to my advantage for the betterment of our program. And so anytime that I'm thinking about on areas that we need to change, that's taken away from time and energy on going out and identifying what we need to do today. And so that's why I feel good about where we're at. I think that our team meeting in January, that roster is going to look a whole lot different than it did that last week, or that Thanksgiving week in November. And I'm excited about where we are from a roster, from a culture standpoint, moving forward.
Let's start on offense. Quarterback Marcos Davila, very talented guy, can really throw it. How did you kind of identify him as a guy that you wanted to recruit hard and then get him to West Lafayette?
Yeah, Marcos, Graham and the offensive staff identified him early. It's evident when you turn on the tape just how talented he is and what type of arm talent he has. And he's thrown for 9,000 yards over the course of his career, won a ton of ball games. So he's played at a high level for a long time. And he's a big kid. I think he's more athletic than people give him credit for. And then when you get to know him, you see the confidence, you see the leadership capabilities. And so with what we want to do offensively, he definitely fits the mold to a T. So definitely happy that he's coming here in the spring to get inundated with 8 weeks of workouts before we hit another 15 practices of spring ball to get him acclimated to his surroundings and the system. And so I thought Graham did a great job of establishing a relationship with him. Comes from a great family. They're West Texas through and through, and he's about ball for the right reasons. And so this program is set up that way, where if you love football, you're going to love it here, and if you don't, it's going to be hard for you. And he loves ball, so I think that drew us to each other.
Talk about Tavion Galloway, what kind of weapon he could be as maybe a split-out tight end, and then the East St. Louis kids. There's obviously a special level of toughness out of those kids, and they're going to come in and play hard for you. targeting those guys as well.
Yeah, Tavion, obviously from a talent standpoint, it sort of jumps out at you. He's physically mature beyond his age, and I think he's just scratching the surface of who he can be as a tight end. The frame he has, he should be versatile both in the run and the pass game. Another guy that's coming in that semester so that we can get our hands on him early and try to get him ready for the season. The two East St. Louis kids, like you said, they win a ton of games. Coach Sunk runs a tight ship there. Very talented, very skilled at their each respective positions. So excited to get that East St. Louis pipeline going through here, and hopefully that bodes well moving forward. And we're extremely excited to have those two young men part of our program.
You were a D1 defensive back. How much does that help in recruiting high-level defensive backs, especially just kind of evaluating them, and then getting a guy like Coy Beasley has to be big? Absolutely.
Playing the position and coaching the position, and just my track record with defensive backs throughout my career, it's an easy sell to those guys. Having a head coach that's played it, and then that has coached it from a position standpoint, both corners and safeties, and then being a coordinator and having the success I had as a coordinator with those position groups specifically. I think guys kind of see that trend and are gravitated to that. Extremely excited about Coy. Really all the DBs. You talk about Luke Williams and Adoree Hines and Earl Cupp, Ty Hudkins, all of those guys, Smiley included, like we talked about earlier. Those guys are going to be great players for us and have great careers here, and all have like different elite traits. Coy is as fast as they come. I'm sure he's going to walk in the building and be the fastest guy we got. So definitely when you have that kind of speed and that kind of athleticism on the defensive side of the ball, you got a chance to make some game-changing plays.
That is Purdue coach Ryan Walters going through his first full recruiting cycle. Ryan, thanks so much for joining us.
I appreciate you.